All right, let's get started with some book recommendations, but this is going to be about Elysium, the movie review. This is called The Corrupt Catholic Church, The Corrupt Catholic Cult, okay, by Peter S. Ruckman. And Catholicism is absolutely a cult. It's absolutely satanic at its core. You don't get that many pedophiles and people bowing down to, kiss the Pope's feet and Mary worshipers without just Satan being all over Catholicism. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a few Catholics that might be saved and look to Jesus Christ for their salvation, but the institution of Catholicism is probably tied for first place with one of the most evil institutions in the whole world. And I'll let you guys guess on who the other one is. But I also want to show this other book here. It's Romans 13 by Timothy Baldwin and Chuck Baldwin. Okay, Romans 13, and people use Romans 13 to say we should submit ourselves to the powers of government. But the same people who say that, there's a verse in the Bible that says, wives, submit yourself to your husbands. But they wouldn't recommend that a wife submit themselves to a husband who beats her every night and who tortures her. So the Romans 13 does not imply an unlimited submission, right? The Bible also says that it's better to obey God rather than to obey man. And you can tell that to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who did not obey the government of their time, but would rather be thrown in a fiery furnace. Matter of fact, the men who threw them in the fire, they got burned up. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not get burned up. So anyway, those are two books. I always try to start off with some book recommendations. But let me get my So I thought I better do this while it's still fresh in my mind. I went and saw Elysium tonight with some family members, and it's just to start off with, just to let you know where I stand on the matter. It's the worst propaganda, racist, political agenda, communist, socialist movie I've ever seen in my life. It's just terrible. The lessons in it were just, I give it a 0. If I could give it a negative number, I give it a 0 out of 10. If I could give it a negative number, I give it a negative number. But sometimes, it's good to see the propaganda from your enemy. I mean, the thing is that Ayn Rand and the movies she puts out, Atlas Shrugged, and they're like some little fringe part of society. But Elysium gets mainstream box office attention. Not only does it push amnesty for it, it's like it's working on our. It's all these undertones within the movie about amnesty for 30 million illegal aliens, and I use the phrase illegal because they are illegal aliens in the United States. I think we got the population of the whole country of Canada in the United States, and they overwhelm our medical system, they overwhelm all of our educational systems, and there's crime that's propagated in the country. And I do not agree with John McCain that they perform jobs that Americans shouldn't do or wouldn't do. I believe Americans should do those jobs, right? And that we should not import illegal aliens into this country. I just don't agree with John McCain's statement on that. So anyway, the movie not only propagates the idea of amnesty for illegal aliens, right? And it propagates the idea of racism against white people. It propagates the idea of Obamacare for everyone. It's like a multiple phase propaganda for Obamacare, free healthcare, citizenship for everybody. The white man is the evil elite of society that's keeping all this technology away from everybody else. And I wanted to share some examples with you guys, some things that came to mind as I watched the movie. And I'm familiar with like free market systems, Ayn Rand, individualism, objectivism, and this movie is totally against stuff like that. But let me give you some examples. First of all, there's so many different things, I don't know where to start, but let's just use our imagination. Can we play pretend here for a second? I want to play pretend, right? Let's pretend, right, and use a far out imagination that a bunch of African Americans got together, a bunch of them, and they went off and purchased a big portion of Africa. And they got together and they created a wonderful, what's the word? A wonderful society. There's a word I'm thinking of, but I can't think of it right now. But it's not euphoric, but it's anyway, I can't think of it. Let's say that these African Americans got together and they created this one utopia. That's the word I'm thinking of. They created this wonderful utopian society in Africa, and they started inventing things like crazy because the wonderful society promoted liberty for the individual. It freed the individual up from government. And all of these African Americans, let's just use our imagination here, all of these African Americans created medical devices that were phenomenal. They created transportation devices. They created communications devices. They developed some of the best music. They developed some of the best school systems. They started sending people from Africa into the moon, started to build a space station. Now, if African Americans had done that, I don't think that me sitting over here in America, I don't think that they have a right, I don't think that they should be forced to allow me to become a citizen of their country. Nope. It's like, I'm an American and I'm over here, and I don't think that I should be, I'm entitled to any of their inventions. I'm not entitled for them to force to take care of me. You see what I'm getting at? It's like if you turn the picture around 180 degrees, I don't think that they should be forced to allow me to come over there and to be a part of their society. If they don't want me to be a part of their society, then that is their prerogative, right? They're the ones who develop that in that hypothetical imaginary situation. And I've heard discussions from people that say, well, if you have a cure for cancer, that you should spread that and give that to the world. Well, here's the deal. I do encourage people to help out other people, right? That is absolutely, as a Christian, we should encourage and promote helping out other people. I'm all for that. But you don't force people to help out other people by putting a gun to their head or by levying a tax on them or by saying, if you don't abide by this, we will put you in jail. As soon as you try to force somebody to help out somebody else by legislation or laws or taxes, then it no longer is charity from the heart, but it becomes theft, right? And then you ruin the whole thing. It's like all of the incentives for humans to work harder, to achieve more, to accomplish more, to do great inventions, all of that gets ruined because government tries to force people, their morality on people. And in this movie, Elysium, they had a magical bed. You lay down in this magical bed, and this thing went over you, and it healed you of leukemia or cancer or any sickness that you had. It would just heal your whole body. And see, because the people who are promoting Elysium and the people who like that sort of thing, that's how they think of healthcare. They don't think of healthcare as work and labor and somebody putting in the amount of time to become a good doctor. Now, I hate all doctors because I believe we live in a corrupted system. But let's say we lived in a good system, I would actually trust doctors. Now, we don't live in that system, so I hate all doctors because the system is corrupted, right? But I'm just saying, if we lived in a good system, I would recognize the fact that healthcare is not a right. It's not an entitlement. It's something that you barter for. You say, I have some money, or I will do a certain amount of labor for you if you can give me some healthcare, right? I don't think that I'm entitled to free healthcare, and I don't think anybody is entitled to free healthcare, because the reason those people that like movies like Elysium, they think of healthcare as a magical bed because they've never worked to accomplish anything in their life. They don't understand the concept of labor, hard work, ingenuity, inventiveness. They don't understand those concepts. All they see is a magical bed that you lay in and it just heals you. And so let me offer you this. There was a character in the movie called Spider, right? And Spider, it sets the Mexicans up against the white people, is what that movie does. But Spider was a wonderful, hard-working, he knew all about computers, and Spider devoted all of his time to try to get to Elysium, where Elysium was up in the atmosphere spinning around the earth, and they had all the beds that healed everybody. Now, Spider was a very smart individual. You could tell that he applied himself, he worked hard, he knew about computers. But instead of like Spider working hard to try to get to Elysium, to get in the magical bed that the elite white people had, Why didn't Spider use all of this technology and talents the Lord had given him, and use all of this ambition to do hard work? Why didn't Spider just make his own magical bed? You see what I mean? Why couldn't the plot of the story have been these elite white folks went up in the atmosphere and created this wonderful society, but Spider, which is representative of the Hispanic and the Spanish folks, they all got together and they worked really hard, and you know what? They created their own magical bed that was even better than the white folks. And all the Spanish people and all the minorities on the earth, they got all their magical beds because Spider worked really hard to create it for them, right? But no, that's not the plot of the movie, right? The plot of the movie is, hey, the whiteys are holding us down, the whiteys are keeping us down, and we got to go take the whiteys people's stuff because we can't create anything ourselves, right? You see how stupid that plot is? It's all about people thinking they should get something for nothing. See, there was a saying that my grandfather told my dad and my dad told me, and that is work or don't eat. You know, I always thought that was just a good saying that they said because they grew up on a dairy farm. And a dairy farm, you got to milk the cows every single day is what I've been told. But you know where that phrase comes from, work or don't eat? That comes from the Bible. Or the Bible says work or don't eat. And I don't think anybody should be forced to do anything for anybody else. As soon as you try to force somebody, then it's no longer charity from the heart. It becomes thievery, theft, coercion. It becomes you're forcing somebody to be a slave. And when you do that, the doctors who've worked really hard to become good in their field are no longer going to try to be good doctors because they're not going to be rewarded for it. And you're just going to turn the whole profession of medicine into some sort of government-ran mediocre crap. And some of you will say, well, that works in other countries. Well, the other countries don't have the illegal immigration problem that we have in America. As soon as they get the illegal immigration problem, their medical systems will be overrun. And I, for one, I will do everything I possibly can, humanly possibly, to avoid the medical system. But, you know, the thing is, you know, I'm running out of time. I'm always running out of time. But that movie was not only racist, it was anti-white racist. It was anti-capitalism. It was pro-Obamacare, pro-communism, and it just pits the Spanish folks, Hispanic folks against the white folks, and it's just total propaganda from our. I don't know if it's, you know, just total propaganda. And I guess the only thing people learn from history is that they never learn from history. And so we're going to allow these types of people to develop policies in America, and it's going to ruin this country. And you know, we will not learn from history, and they do have the majority, and we don't have any good, strong leadership, and we will reap what we sow. And anyway, I give Elysium, my movie review for Elysium is 0 out of 10. And if I could give it a negative number, I'd give it a negative number. May God bless the righteous. May He bring divine justice to the wicked, lying bastards of this world.